our self-esteem can impact different aspects of our life. So for instance, our image, our worth, respect, acceptance, confidence. And obviously these aspects of who we are, they don't have to always be negative. But unfortunately, many people, they struggle with low self-esteem. Hi, my name is Patricia. I'm a counseling psychologist registered with CBT here in the UK. And in today's video, I'm gonna be talking about very few simple things that you could do to improve your self-esteem. So the first thing, it will be for you to actually start noticing your intrusive and very critical thoughts that you might have about yourself in different aspects of your life. And then as well, with time, you will notice that actually those thoughts are quite repetitive. And then the other thing is as well that we all actually have those critical thoughts, but they're gonna impact us to a different degree. Some people, they might only have few of them and they're gonna only appear occasionally when maybe someone is feeling maybe more low in the mood, where other people, they might actually suffer with very critical, really strong critical thoughts on a daily basis that they will be preventing them maybe from taking up certain challenges. Once you're gonna have your critical thoughts written, then you can start thinking about challenging them. So let's now take an example of maybe a situation at work where maybe your co-workers, they were supposed to prepare a certain project and there was a deadline, but they haven't met that deadline. And in that instance, you got really frustrated with them and maybe you raised your voice at them. So the intrusive critical thoughts, they could be around something like, I let myself off guard. I should have not responded in such an irresponsible way. I shouldn't have got frustrated with my co-workers. Now I've lost all the respect. My co-workers, they will never respect me again. I'm just being a failure. So when you're going to be writing down your critical intrusive thoughts, you will have to also score them. So you can score them from 0 to 10, where maybe 10 is the highest one, based on how much you actually believe in this thought to be a truth. Okay, so let's now think how we can actually challenge this situation, how we can challenge these intrusive thoughts in context of this situation. And what we want to achieve is to come up with a new way of looking at the situation, which is more objective, which is less critical. So let's say if you rated your critical thoughts as maybe 10 out of 10 or maybe 9 out of 10, then ideally we would be looking for maybe scores to go down maybe to 5 out of 10, maybe 6 or even a 7 out of 10. They might be fine initially. So now let's look at the situation again. So you got frustrated with your coworkers because they haven't submitted the project on time. And obviously getting frustrated with them, maybe shouting at them or raising your voice at them, is not gonna help. And yes, maybe they're gonna lose some respect for you. But at the same time, we have to think that perhaps them not submitting the project on time has triggered your frustration, because perhaps them not doing their job properly has consequences for you. So, you feel under pressure, you feel a lot of stress, and there might be also other consequences. So no wonder perhaps that, you got frustrated, you got really stressed, and then you responded to them in this manner. And also by being able to reflect on the situation, we can perhaps learn something so that we're not gonna follow the same pattern in the future. So I hope that you can see that actually now the way I've constructed this situation is more objective, because it looks at, maybe it's not that great, but also, maybe there was some reason for you to get frustrated. Where, the initial scenario, it was all very critical, you're stupid, you are a loser, you just done everything wrong. So now that you have this new scenario with your new, more objective thoughts, which are perhaps less critical than the initial one, you can rate them again and see whether your scores, they've dropped down. And that's exactly what you will have to do with every intrusive thoughts that you have there. And obviously you don't have to do it all in one go, but you might aim for maybe 1 or maybe 2 thoughts a day. I think that might be more than enough. And also you need to remember that initially actually you might be struggling a lot with coming up with more objective way of looking at certain scenarios in your life. Because perhaps you've been living with this very critical way of looking at yourself for a very long time. So now it would be very unnatural for you to actually see yourself in maybe more positive light. But as it is with everything in life, the more you're gonna practice, the easier, the more natural it's gonna become for you. And with this intervention here, what we want to achieve is that your critical thoughts, they're not gonna impact your emotions and your behaviors as much as they're impacting you now. Because obviously, with all these critical thoughts, certain negative emotions, they're gonna be triggered. And those negative emotions, they're gonna also trigger certain behaviors. So once we're gonna be able to target those critical thoughts, they in turn, they're gonna also change the emotions that you're gonna feel. They're not gonna be perhaps as intense, and then because the emotions, they're not gonna be as intense, your behaviors, they're gonna change as well. So maybe in a situation when your critical voice tells you that you are not as confident, that maybe you are not as good, and that maybe you are not as clever as maybe other co-workers, then that will create a lot of self-doubt, maybe a lot of shame. And then because of that, you might be actually not participating in certain projects, so you might not be taking up certain challenges in your work. And perhaps because of that, you will really close doors for yourself, so you're not going to be able to grow. And also, you don't have to worry that you will have to keep record of your critical thoughts forever, because eventually, the more you're gonna practice writing this down, then you will notice that eventually you don't have to even write it down, that you can actually do all that in your mind, and then eventually it's gonna actually become automatic. Same as your critical thoughts at the moment, that is automatic. You don't have to really think hard about them, you don't have to write them down. So exactly the same thing gonna happen with your more balanced new ways of thinking about yourself, but that will, like I said, require a lot of practice. And also remember that in certain situations where your self-critical voice is going to be triggered, and when you're going to become very emotional, it might be very difficult to actually do this exercise. So in those instances, it would be really good if you could give yourself time till your emotions, they're going to go down. And that's when you could actually start thinking maybe more rationally about the whole situation. And that's when you could give yourself a bit more space to actually think what actually has happened, how I felt, and as well about this more new objective way of looking at this scenario. And also some people who suffer with low self-esteem, they might have really strong traits of perfectionism. So when even doing the list of critical thoughts, they might try to make it really perfect. But again, we have to remember that the purpose of this intervention is just to come up with a more balanced way of thinking, and that will trigger more positive emotions, that will then open new avenues for you to grow. So this is it for today, and if this is the first time you're visiting this channel, then please subscribe, like this video, and make sure you're gonna hit the notification bell, so every time when I upload any of my videos, then you're gonna get notified, so you're not gonna miss out on any of this really interesting content. And I'm gonna see you in the next one then. Thank you. Bye.